Hi, everyone. Welcome to Full Awakening's Pulse Report or Golden Nugget of the Week. This is Riza with Full Awakening. And, we were renaming this for the new year as Nuggets, Golden Nuggets, because I was trying to make them shorter, these little moments of collective insight. And last year we were calling them Pulse Reports, and I was taking a pulse of the collective and sharing that with you guys. But what I have found is that I am not able to dispense quality wisdom in under 15 minutes. So I'm not going to pretend this is going to be a 5-minute video. We'll try to keep it brief so that you guys can watch it and it won't take up too much of your time, but we'll try to make it valuable and profound at the same time. So today, the day that we're recording this, is Valentine's Day. And it is a day in this country, in the US, where there are a lot of mixed emotions around this thing that we call love. So it was not surprising to me that when I checked in with the Council of 17, which is the council that I channel, that they brought me an image of love and how we as a collective see and perceive love. What I saw was this cauldron bubbling over with little hearts. When you guys on Facebook and all these different places, if you press a heart, now they have this emoji thing that like a little fountain of hearts comes up. And it was a similar sort of image. So this cauldron of love was bubbling these little picture hearts into the air. And there were all these people grabbing for these hearts and trying to fill themselves with love. And it felt like, to me, like a desperate effort to take something from outside that felt like a valuable, limited resource and to grab a hold as much of it as possible and to fill that void inside with that love. And it was interesting what Spirit said about this. So the council talked about this as our primary misconception about love, that it's something that comes from external and fills us internally, but that actually love is most true when it's coming from a place of internal cultivation, and when we're able to build up so much love internally that it's able to bubble out of us. And when it bubbles out of us into this collective cauldron, that then it's sort of this joyous surprise. It's sort of these bubbles popping in the air, like kids running after bubbles on the beach, just something joyous that kind of gets everyone a little bit giddy, but isn't something that anybody needs because it's coming from inside each one of us. So that brought me to one of my primary truths that I like to carry and whittle around in my own mind, in my own heart, and share with my students. And that's this idea that our primary partnership here on this planet is between the body that we partner with and the soul, the earth soul that comes with that body, and the consciousness, the soul consciousness that comes down into that body. That joining that happens, that begins happening during conception, but really I feel as a mother who's birthed a couple babies, it feels like it really solidifies its anchor during the birthing process. That marriage is our primary partnership. It is the very thing that we will have for the entire time we're alive as the personality that we are now, as the person that we are now. And one of the societal misconceptions or societal directions that we go with love, or misdirections we go with love, is this idea of permanence. We want to feel that love will last forever. We make these lifelong marriage commitments, and there's something really beautiful about it. But there's also something fear-based about it. This idea that if we can just have something permanent in love, that maybe the impermanence that permeates all the other aspects of our lives will be less scary to us. And the truth is that especially until really recently, and still in many places in the world, the survival of your child was not guaranteed. We were doing some Ancestry.com research in my family, and we were discovering, just 100 years ago or 200 years ago that, families in our family were having 12, 13 kids, and most of them were not surviving to adulthood. Most of those kids were dying within the first 10 years. Imagine what it was like. And this history is in our cells, right? This is part of our inheritance, part of that marriage into body, is that body holds the memory of all of these generations past and the trauma of that, of giving birth to a child that you knew may or may not survive very long, if at all. into adulthood and the wounding of that realization of impermanence. And the same was true for partners. You would marry someone this way, and there's no guarantee that your wife would survive childbirth, or that your husband would survive war, or that, the impermanence of life was very palpable. And right now, we like to pretend that maybe it just isn't so. Maybe we're powerful enough as a people, or we're technologically advanced enough that we may not lose our loved ones, that we may grow old together, that we may never experience that kind of pain and suffering. But the truth is that hope is based on fear, and it holds us back from being able to love deeply in the moments that we're given. And so there's something I posted on Instagram yesterday that got a variety of reactions, but the post was about impermanence. And it said that when we hold impermanence in our minds, when we're willing to hold impermanence of ourselves in our hearts, then we're able to be initiated into life. Meaning, when we're able to understand that each breath could be our last, each in-breath is our first, that we are more willing to be present with the life that we have. We're more willing to land in the moment and land in the day. I personally went through 6 months of time in which I believed every day I might die. And that seems really dramatic, but it came through a really vivid dream, one of the most vivid dreams I've ever had. And I've had many very significant vivid dreams that have been a part of my own awakening process and my own teaching process, learning process through spirit. And this particular dream was really beautiful. It's a long story, so I'll tell it sometime elsewhere, probably in the stories of awakening. But right now, I'll just say that one of the parts of the dream that was really significant was at the end of the dream, I was told that I was going to die in a head-on collision car crash within the next 6 months. And the healer in the dream who told me this said I was being given this information to change the way I was living my life. When I woke up from this dream, I was bereft, because I was absolutely certain that what the person in the dream had told me was true. And if it wasn't true, that it was intended to be believed as true. That my guidance had not given me that information for me to take it on as anything but true. And so I had to take it on as true. I had to let my family know what was happening. I told my friends. I mentally, emotionally, psychologically prepared myself for my own death. The night after that dream, the moment I closed my eyes, I saw the pickup truck coming towards me and their headlights, and I saw the head-on collision happen. And it reinforced this feeling that this is an impending thing. And the woman in the dream, the healer, the seer in the dream also told me there was no way that I could avoid my own death. That if we try to avoid our fate, we just entangle more people into that fate happening. And so I had the extreme blessing of getting to live my life from that moment forward with this feeling of my own impermanence, right? And nothing I could do about it. It wasn't as if I'd been given a cancer diagnosis and I could choose treatment or no treatment. I really had nothing I could do about it except to hold that feeling of impermanence. And it meant that every morning when I woke up and I got to hold my children in my arms, or I got to kiss them goodbye, we developed whole rituals around saying goodbye. So I knew that the moment I departed from them, that they could see me in my eyes, they could see how much I loved them. They knew that that connection was there, and that if that was the last time I saw them, that it would be a meaningful moment for them. And so it made my days richer, and it made them more, alive. Also, I began to really question what in my life was holding me back from my true missionhood. I began to really ask myself if I knew why I was here on this planet, what I wanted to contribute, who I wanted to become, and all the ways that I had shrunk back in my life from being that person, or put it on hold and said, well, in 5 years or in 10 years, or when the kids are grown up, then maybe I'll, go towards that dream. And it made me really question that. And so within 10 days, I had birthed a project called the Hope Seed Project. And you can look up hopeseedproject.org to read more about that. But it really started me on a new trajectory. And I will say, to end this part of the story, that 4 months after I had that dream, almost 4 months to the day, I did get in that exact head-on collision. And what I didn't know is that my kids would be with me in the back seat. And they were in the back seat sleeping. I was at a stoplight, and I looked up, and the headlights of that pickup truck were coming right at me. And it hit me head on, going pretty fast. And luckily there was no car behind me, so it just pushed my car back about 20 feet and crumpled the car completely in the front. And amazingly, we all lived and we all survived. And we all were uninjured for the most part. We all went to chiropractors and massage therapists for quite a while, but we were okay. So, what I take from that is that it was a gift for me to perceive in this way. And I love to offer this inkling of a perspective to others, that our connection with death is actually our initiation into life. And I really see that I came to life during that time. Similarly, I think that if we're able to hold the impermanence of the lives of our loved ones in our hearts, if we're able to really hold that and not turn away from it or push it away or deny it or cover it up with the feeling of sureness, then we're able to really, really come into a place of love and a place of appreciation for the people that we love. I love this quote from Spirit also, and I'll offer this here, that unconditional love says, there is nothing that you could do or say or be that would make it easier for me to love you. I already love you just the way you are. And I think that that is some great advice to bring into our close relationships. We very often don't experience unconditional love in our families. And for anyone who's a parent, you know that unconditionally loving your children is really hard, because we are told that we are here to shape and guide and mold our children into good citizens, and they are not always within our realm of control or within our realm of teachability. And so it can be really hard to sort of zoom back or, give ourselves a little space and just really truly appreciate them for exactly who they are and allow them to be that. And think of ourselves more as container holders that are holding the container for them as they grow and expanding that container in appropriate ways so that they can continue to express themselves while feeling held and feeling safe and feeling capable. So we'll just talk about that for love for a moment. Think about impermanence. Think about how much you push away or bring in your own sense of impermanence and the sense of impermanence of your loved ones and your relationships. And think about how your acceptance of impermanence might make your relationships a little richer, might make you able to engage a little bit more. I think that no matter whether or not you're in a romantic relationship or a partnership, this idea is incredibly rich. And actually, it's easier to cultivate this level of unconditional love with our friendships, especially once we get to a certain age and we've seen friends come and go, and we know how deeply satisfying and connective relationships can be in the friendship realm, but also that friendships end and friendships change and friends move to different parts of the world, and you don't always have constant contact with people that you love in the friendship realm. But because we're not completely depending on them in this way that we're taught to depend on our partners and on our family, because it's a much more balanced relationship usually, that means that we can be a little bit freer to say, I love you right now, you're an amazing friend to me right now, we're there for each other right now, but if circumstances change, it's going to be okay. And I can allow that to happen. And even thinking about it makes me love you even more right now. I'm more grateful and appreciative of who you are right now in my life. I think that once we've gotten to a certain age, we've had a little bit of practice of that. So take those friendships and apply that level of unconditional love to your partnerships and to your relationships with your family. And I think you'll really see some beautiful things grow there. I've definitely seen that in myself. So we picked a card. We always pick a card now, and I think that's really fun. So I do the reading first. Let's see, let's make sure with the council that I've said everything that they wanted me to say about that. Yeah, they pretty much just want us to feel like love is not a limited resource. It's not a limited resource, and we do not need to depend on the love of others to feel love in our lives. It's something that's internally derived, something about the way that we love ourselves, the way that we learn that same quote of unconditional love. There's nothing you could do or say or be that would make it easier for me to love you. I love you already exactly the way you are. That's what you need to say to yourself. And that is hard. But it's true. When you can say that to yourself and accept yourself for who you are and discover yourself for who you are in this moment, it makes it so much easier to love the people around you. Okay, so interestingly, the card that we picked today that popped right out of the deck is the King of Chalices. Let's see if we can get you a good image that isn't too shiny. Oh, you can see my own reflection there. That's creepy. Here we go. The King of Chalices. I love this deck. It's a great deck. Triple Goddess deck, or this is the Silver Witchcraft deck, actually. This is the book. So the King of Chalice is an interesting one. I've actually never chosen him before. And I'm still, I've been doing oracle divination for a long time, like 20, 23 years or something like that. Shows my age a little bit because, I started when I was a teenager. But I've only recently in the last few years started doing tarot decks that have major and minor arcana and the suits and all that kind of stuff. So I'm still really a student of the tarot in a sense, and I don't have every card memorized as far as what it means, but I know that my intuitive feelings are usually what I use to read tarot. So I intuitively read into this guy, and then I also looked in the book to see what they had to say about him. And it's interesting because chalices, it's the water element, and water is all about emotions and about dream time, and it's that sort of the subconscious aspect. But here it's really about emotions. And the king of chalices, is paired with the queen of chalices. And the queen of chalices is like the queen of emotions. She's all about intuition. She's all about just her sense of leading from the heart. And the king of chalices is still within that realm, right? He is of the water element. He's here surrounded by his little sprightly friends, and everything's opposite in this camera. It still confuses me. So he has his little sprightly friends down here, his little water nymphs, and he's obviously surrounded by water. He's holding his chalice of water, but he's holding it a little close. And, the read I get from him is that, and it's very appropriate for the gender roles that we're taught, is that he is a very emotional being. He feels very deeply emotionally. He does have a strong connection with his own sense of intuition. And he rules from that place, but not openly. So he's not comfortable showing that part of himself. He's holding his cards close to the chest, right? So this is really interesting because one of the biggest crimes against humanity is the way that we raise our boys to be men, and the way that we tell them that their emotions is not a safe place for them to be, because they have emotions too. And I know this because I have 2 male-bodied children, and they are emotional beings. They have a lot of feels in here. But I know that, in society and traditionally for men and boys, we treat them as if their emotions are a weakness, and being weak is the primary thing you must not be if you want to survive to manhood, right? And that other men and life itself and society will treat you, that's my dog, will treat you quite poorly if you show your cards, if you show your weakness, if you show your emotion. I put weakness in quotes, but they were underneath. If you show your weakness of emotions. When the truth is that we need a really beautiful balance of heart and mind. We need our ability to compute and to contemplate and to perceive. And we also need our ability to sense, right? This body is a divination vessel. We are in a body that is designed to interpret energy, both coming from inside of us and also coming from outside of us. And anyone on the healer's path or the seeker's path or the shamanic path, however you want to put that, path of awakening, which is what we do in our company, Full Awakening, is help people with tools for awakening. Your emotions, the emotions that travel through your body, are incredibly important and incredibly useful to be in connection with. So this is an interesting card, and I wonder if this might be pointing to, for people in relationships with male identified or male bodied people right now, or even us connecting to our own divine masculine and trying to feel into our comfort and discomfort, our resistance and our grasping of emotions we'd like to feel, our emotions we're not comfortable feeling, that this might be a really good time to examine our preconceptions or misconceptions about whether emotional connection is weakness or strength, or whether it's something in between. So that is what I offer to you today, my dear loved ones. Always, 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 Riza from Full Awakening. Check out our website, fullawakening.net. And always, we want to offer you a massive amount of love and gratitude for being who you are and just being here on this planet at this time and trying your very best to show your light to others. We appreciate you and we feel your presence. So thank you so much. And I hope you guys all have a loving, self-loving, self-caring St. Valentine's Day, and that you bring that love inside and allow it to bubble outside and allow it just to sparkle in the air. No need to have a partner to do that, just your primary partnership with yourself. Okay, see you guys next week. Bye.